And I can tell you that when you're upset, when you're mad, when you're frustrated, when you're heated, a very difficult thing to do is to look within, is to search within, to try to figure out, why am I mad? Why am I frustrated? What is the root of why I feel this way? How long have I been feeling this way, and what can I do about it? That is going to be very difficult. It's actually a lot easier to look externally and try to go hang out with somebody, or, go to dinner, go to happy hour, spend time with groups of people, or spend time with another person. Again, this is where sometimes cheating comes up in relationships, is because you're kind of looking externally at, how can I fill this void? How can I fill this gap? I feel empty inside. I feel angry. So I'm going to go over here and engage with this other person inappropriately, or I'm going to expose my rage in a different way. And this is what we see with Porsha. And I'm using Porsha as an example. But my theory here is that in our society, we don't want to do the difficult work. And the difficult work is feeling. And for those of you who have been with me for a minute, you have heard me say this, feeling our emotions. This goes into my whole dialogue and theory about the invisible Black woman. Because particularly in a relationship, in a marriage, these are things that can ruin a relationship and or marriage. The inability to go within, to search within, the lack of desire to feel. Because if you can't feel your own emotions, if you can't get in touch with that deeper inner part of you, perhaps which is enraged for whatever reason, if you can't go there, what do you then do? Where do you channel that energy? And a lot of times when you see people acting out and behaving in ways that don't make any sense, behaving in ways, and we look at folks and we judge them and we say, well, why are they doing this and that? We don't understand that there was a root cause. And in many cases, an inability for this particular person to process, to sit with, to deal with their own emotions. And I'll even take it a step further, and as another example, Ozempic, Wegovy, all of these weight loss drugs. And again, this is not to shame anybody who's on these drugs, but some people are using these things for the very reason that I'm talking about, because they don't want to feel hungry. I remember back in the day, I was born in the 80s, so back in the day when you would diet, part of that included you actually having to feel the hunger and just deal with it, because you're eating less or you're eating healthier or whatever you're doing. And so you're going to feel that. And that's a human natural thing to feel. But now we have so many things to kind of cover up our feelings. If you get a headache, you can take medication. To a degree, there's some legitimacy, like I didn't want to, but I ended up getting an epidural when I had my daughter. That was covering up all that pain, So to a degree, we all participate in this, right? This goes into me. I used to talk about on this channel, and I have a video or two about emotional eating. Why people are inclined to overeat, that feeling of being stuffed, and like you eat until you can't eat anymore, and it's like, you feel so good, but then you get on the scale or you try to button your pants up and you're just like, so this idea of like doing things to cover up, to mask feeling. And again, these things can be cheating, overeating, again, being on a drug or a shot when maybe you may not necessarily need to be on that. I mean, there may be folks who do need it, but maybe you don't, if you were willing to feel. But what we say in our culture is like, well, why should we feel? I mean, if there's something that can take the pain away, take the emotion away, if something like that exists, why should I feel? And to a degree, we've lost the value. There's so much value in feeling what you're feeling. And not only feeling it, but even going deeper into that feeling. And this is very difficult work. And I understand why a lot of people are not inclined to do it because it's difficult. But it is the work, particularly in the Black community, that needs to be done. Because we as a culture have spent a lot of time, for sometimes good reason, not feeling, not seeing, not, trying to even get in touch with, because it's too hard, it's too difficult, it hurts. It hurts so bad. But this is the work that needs to be done. And in lieu of this work being done, my fear is like, what happens now? Okay, so you choose not to feel, you don't feel. You decide that, you decide that you don't want to engage with your emotions in that way. You don't think it's important. You don't think it's work that needs to be done. You think you're fine. You think it's everybody else's fault. I don't need to look at me. I mean, look at them. Look what they're doing. If you think this, how do you cope? And so I wanted to just add this to what you're about to see, or perhaps what you've already seen. I have this video about Porsha, and it shows her fighting. And I don't want this just to be about, someone fighting and the drama, but I wanted to talk more in depth about what I'm trying to show is this invisible Black woman, this angry Black woman, this person that keeps showing up, this archetype that we keep talking about. What is underneath all that? And I know there's a video I did about Tamar. A lot of people were saying, well, I don't have time to, understand the why. And I get that. But this is not, I don't want my videos to just be about random Black women on the street. Sometimes you can apply this to Black women that you know, right? And this really isn't about just women, but my channel is about Black women. But this can apply to anyone. People you know who are angry. People you know and women you know, Black women who you know who are incredibly angry. Where do they channel that? And then in the absence of having a place to healthily, in a healthy way, if you don't have that place where you're channeling that energy, my concern and my worry is that it's going to lead to destruction. Either destruction of your marriage, destruction of you personally, destruction of your mental health, destruction of your physical health. Nothing good can come out of not being able to channel those feelings and somewhere. And what I've done, and this is why I really am a creative, is because I've had a lot of emotions over the years. Yes, some of that has been anger and rage. And no, I didn't go beat anyone up, even though I wanted to. I did not go and beat up anybody, but I definitely wanted to at times. But what I have been able to do is channel some of my emotions into my art, and my art being my books, being my videos, my YouTube videos, being at one point it was African dance, at one point it was poetry, at one point it was the open mic I used to lead. It was always something. And for people who know me, or maybe people who don't know me that well, they may look at me and wonder, huh, Nika's always doing these. And what they didn't realize was I was going within that whole time. and it would come out in different ways. So yeah, maybe sometimes it did come out in the form of a book, or in the form of a certain type of video, or in the form of a poem, or in the form of whatever. Okay, now I'm, for years I'm, journaling, and I did some journaling today. It has always come out in different ways. But I think this has been a healthier way to cope than beating somebody up. Even though sometimes folks perhaps may deserve to be beaten up, but I don't want to deal with those consequences, right? I don't want my reputation to be attached to that. And I'm not a violent person, but I want to humanize the experience of sometimes feeling like you do want to do something to people. But I also want to normalize what really needs to be done, which is doing something to yourself, which is going inward. That is what I want to do. So I hope you appreciate my background. It's beautiful. I think I've said so many times, I love the fall, especially here in Maryland. The colors. So perhaps if you watch until the end, I believe I'm going to insert another part to this video that I filmed like maybe a week or so ago. But if you watch until the end, I'm going to try to show you this very beautiful background that I have here. So I'm not going to go through my normal thing that I always say, but what I will say is pay attention to all the different series that I'm running. The Invisible Black Woman series, the Covered series, the Curated Legacy podcast, which I will be putting one of those out. I have a lot of content filmed, so just stay tuned for all of it. I'm also going to do, a Slim Thick series as well. So I am in my creative era. For those of you who've been here for a while, at one point I was only able to produce it's like a bug's trying to come here. I was only able to produce one video a week. And I'm looking up because I'm like, oh, where are these bugs? It's all good until the bugs start coming. I was doing one video a week, and lately I've been able to put out more content, YouTube shorts, more long form videos. So I'm in year 3 of my YouTube journey. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about this on the Curated Legacy podcast in terms of the cycle. Well, I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. One of the things I want to talk about is the cycle of a YouTube creator. So I'm in a different phase of my journey, and it feels good. So my name is Nika. I'm your host, and just stay tuned for so much more. Bye.